Okay. That's why we're 19.
You know why?
Welcome back to Belmont Bunch. We are now into the NHL regular season, and you know what that means? Me complaining about the Islanders, and at some point, like some fun videos about me making fun of Islanders Twitter. But let's go through the first three games. Happy to say I saw every second of every game. I was only inebriated for one of them. I was at the Winnipeg game. I was at the Edmonton game. I'm going Saturday to the Florida game. So let's see if I can improve my record to 2-1. But let's start with Washington. It was opening night last Friday. I think we knew this was going to be pretty defensive, tough battle. Trotz versus his old team that plays a somewhat similar system. Taves got a ridiculous goal that went off 4 capital skates. Varlamov looked all right. He gave up one kind of shaky-ish goal. Otherwise, looked pretty decent. Penalty kill just gave up, unfortunately, the game-winning goal to Oshie. Just a little bit of tough luck in front of the net. It gets batted in by Oshie. But otherwise, it was, I saw on Twitter, it was Carey Haber, who does really good analysis, so look at his stuff. He was talking about how this is the epitome of Islanders hockey. It's low event hockey. This game was extremely boring, and hey, that's on brand for us when we're playing our game. Except usually we like to win those boring games. But you know what? Capitals, they know us well. They play us plenty throughout the season, and they saw our system last year, so they probably had a little bit of a game plan coming into this game. They played our game, just outdid us. Offensively, we couldn't get any chances going. Our one goal was a complete fluke. So there's that. So, all of Islanders Twitter losing its mind. Lou, you got to make 8 trades right now before game 2. Because judging their offense against a very, very good defensive opponent, that's what we do here? Question mark? But there's not really a ton to talk about with game 1. Tough loss, okay game, not very high energy, the one I got drunk during. So yeah, but I was at a bar. I don't want to make that sound like I was drinking alone at home. Oh, they suck. With that, let's just move to game 2. Game 2 was my first game of the year. I came into that game having seen the Islanders win 10 consecutive games in person. And they kept that going and pushed it to 11, much like in the first game where they came out a little bit sloppy, and then also the third period of the first game was horrendous because I think we had like 2 shots. Period 1 against Winnipeg, we come out and we get kind of bossed around by an AHL defense. Not great at all. But period 2, Trotz better have given them hell in the locker room in between periods 1 and 2 because they looked awful. And at that point, they had scored 1 goal through 4 periods. And everybody in the arena, there's like a nervous energy where it's just like, somebody please score. We don't have a forward that's scored yet. We were scorned. We were scorned. But they pot an early goal by Bailey on the power play, playing in his 799th game at that point. And great feed. I want to say it was Beauvillier that assisted it. Or if not, he might have gotten the secondary assist. But fantastic hard work on the power play all around. Great pass, a little tapping in front. Great. Against a bad defense, you want to take advantage of your chances on the power play, and we took advantage of our one. Just a couple minutes later, not on here, but Brock Nelson scores from Bailey, who picks up his second point of the game, and all of a sudden the Islanders are rolling. We got 2 quick goals in the span of about 3 minutes, 2 forward scoring, which we really needed to see because we hadn't had one yet. And Winnipeg really looking like they're falling out of it with their AHL level defense. And then Anders Lee pots one off a deflection from, I think it was a Ryan Pulak shot. So now we're up 3-0. We do give up a late goal. Grice, who looked absolutely fantastic, had no chance. Patrick Laine, almost one-on-one with him, snipe top corner. Nothing you're going to do about it if you're Grice. Otherwise, Grice was phenomenal. In the first period when they were getting worked by Winnipeg, he was holding solid back there. He made, I believe, 15 saves in the first. And then, we're looking at halfway through the second. In the first period, we're on pace to give up 45 shots, and all of a sudden, defense is playing great, not giving up as many opportunities. It's 3-1 after 2. Beauvillier scores early into the third. Perfect. You want to step on a team that doesn't defend well. You want to step on their throat early in the third, and the rest of the game they just saw it out after Beauvillier scored. So Beauvillier off to a very nice start after just recently being signed. We'll talk about it in a sec. I think he could get a bump in the lineup after that. And we go to game 3, and the worst game of the season. The worst game of the season, of the 3-game sample size. 3-game sample size. I understand everybody immediately already thinks that Varlamov should be traded because he gives up 4 goals. But I do want to remind people that the Islanders basically played with no discipline whatsoever. Brock Nelson took 3 penalties in the first 2 periods, including a double minor, that basically turned the game. Nobody looked engaged. I was especially miffed because we score the first goal shorthanded. Beauvillier from Leo. All of a sudden, our penalty kill so far has been pretty good, and then we proceed to commit 5 penalties through the game, give up 2 power play goals. Varlamov, I thought the only one I thought he should have had was James Neal scoring 4 goals in that game, but if you follow any Islander stuff, you would have seen that everywhere because social media would not let the Islanders forget that they gave up 4 goals to a man who scored 6 goals all of last year, which is fair. But he had a tough one from a really bad angle on the power play that Varlamov lets in. That was bad. Otherwise, I thought it was mostly just Islanders getting outworked and getting trapped in their own zone. Bailey, most of the forwards were invisible, other than Brock, who probably wishes he was invisible after committing 3 penalties, with 1 being a double minor. Bailey, one thing I wanted to point out, because you know what I'm going to say about how bad this game was in total. It was Bailey's 800th game. Josh Bailey never played for any other franchise. He's gotten better with age, because he was kind of underwhelming, and for a very, very long time, all we did was make fun of him. But I think a lot of people have come around to him. He's been pretty, stable producer of offense for the last few years, and obviously, Tavares, he might have just been Tavares, might have been his line mates. But Bailey has been a stalwart for us, and I really wish they would have given him a better tribute. They put up a video tribute in between periods of a game that not a lot of people were at. I just don't understand it. He's up there in terms of games played for one franchise, for the Islanders, and they relegated the tribute video to an in-between periods thing on the board in this stadium that doesn't have a good sound system. And then on top of that, if you're thinking about like where you're going to present presentations, we're getting away from hockey a little bit, but the Islanders Coliseum presentation so far hasn't been fantastic. They were getting, game 1 they forgot to announce Jordan Eberle in the starting lineup. They got names mixed up, and now the last 2 games that I was at in person, so I don't know if they did it in Washington. They do this thing when the team hits the ice for the practice for 15 minutes before game, their shoot around. It's just the most blaring bass I've ever heard. It is the worst thing I've ever heard in my life. Oh my God. I changed my mind about the presentation. Go back to not trying. Because when you try, it's so bad. You have to know that in between periods, all anybody does is stare at their phone or go to the bathroom or go get food. That's when you're going to put your tribute to the guy that's played 800 games, or whatever. Moving on to the game. There was a game played on this night. And Grice came in, he looked pretty decent, and then gave up 1 bad goal himself. At that point, the game was over, so I was just like, this is fun. At a certain point in the middle of the third, game's already over, I turn to my mom and I go, they're going to score a goal, the most meaningless goal ever. They're going to do this. And they did it. But I was wrong about the meaningless part because Noah Dobson, 19-year-old, gets his first game, first NHL point on a really, really good pass to Matt Martin. Dobson played a pretty good game. I should probably talk a little bit about the individual defensemen because this was obviously not a good game for defense or goaltending. Dobson had some iffy giveaways early on, but kind of looked like he belonged. So I think the 9-game, sample that you get before the contract year gets burnt off, I think you just keep him. I think he's ready to go. Obviously some people are going to be like, oh, he was the one changing the lineup, so this go to this, and that means he fault. That's not true. Man who speaks oddly. Mayfield kept icing the puck. He had a terrible game. The only defenseman outside of Dobson that I thought had a good game was, I think, Pellich on the penalty kills, which we had a lot of practice on, had a good, at least 3 or 4 clears. That's good. I mean, we weren't doing too well on the penalty kill, but he was the only one really getting anything. And we had a goal on the penalty kill. So I guess the penalty, it's all right. It's all right. Más o menos. But yeah, overall, first week, we're 1-2-0 going into Carolina, who is 4-0-0. Carolina looks absolutely fantastic so far. Trotz was already calling it a must-win, so we'll see how that goes. I will, unfortunately, be missing that game as I make a trip up to Quinnipiac hockey game for my first time. But I will still watch the game, give you some feedback next week, and we'll come back and talk about the Carolina game. We'll talk about the Florida game, and we'll see. All right, so now we have the 3 stars of the week. We're going to try to do this every week. If I don't do it, sue me. So, 3rd star of the week, Leo Komarov. Really good offensive week. 3 games, 3 assists. He had a shorthanded point on the Beauvillier goal in the Edmonton game. Really, really stellar work as a penalty killer so far. Someone that gets a lot of crap from the fans, but really, really showed his worth this week. Number 2, Thomas Greiss played fantastic in the Winnipeg game, making 35 out of 36 saves. He went 7 of 8 in the Edmonton game in relief. He looks like the 1A in this goalie tandem so far. The Winnipeg game made the timely saves to let us, storm them in the second period. So yeah, fantastic week from Greiss. And Anthony Beauvillier, the guy who we did our first video on in this channel when he was signed. And so far, we were talking about we need 20 goals out of him, not 20... I don't remember.
28 goals, not 28 points.
Yeah, something like that. And hey, 4 points in your first 3 games, one of them coming shorthanded. He's busting his ass so far. He scored a great goal in the Winnipeg game. A lot of, he was down low in the dirty areas, and he just beats the defenseman, puts a top corner in the toy department. And yeah, so far, really, really happy from what we've seen from Beauvillier. And it sounds like that could get him a promotion back up to the second line. I would be pretty happy with that. He is very deserving of it. And if it doesn't work up there, maybe you just bring him back with Komarov, because so far they've been a duo. It's weird to say. I think that maybe it highlights how much more we need out of the top line. But someone else we need more out of is Brock Nelson, but not more penalties, because he has been... he scored. He scored on a great shot in the Edmonton game, but you can't... You got it. No, Brock, buddy, ease up a little bit. Keep your stick low so you don't take a 4-minute double minor in a game where we're still in it. That helps us not be in it anymore. I think they're going to rectify it. At least the accountability is there, because Trotz basically didn't let him play the rest of the second period after he got out of the sin bin. After he got out of the sin bin, there's a silver lining in that Barry will not let you get away with that. But yeah, that is week 1. The review, the player of the week, the sin bin. Venture down to the comments below. If there's nothing there, be the first one to put something there. Give the video a like. Subscribe. Send me a text every now and again. Check on me. How am I doing? How have you been? So yeah, I don't have anything else to say other than look at the written version of the first week for my blog. And other than that, have a good week. Stay active. Do a thing. Do a thing.
I thought you were going to say, stay active, be healthy, and eat your vegetables, man.